Okay, in this video, we're going to be going through real-world problems with ratios. This is our first day of this. Now, we're going to do this using models, so you're going to want to draw those models, and we're also going to use what's called ratio statements, and we're going to want you to do those as well in order to receive credit. So make sure you follow along, draw the models, and try to figure out how to solve these problems using this strategy. Now, the first example says a box contains red ink pens and blue ink pens. The ratio of the number of red ink pens to the number of blue ink pens is 5:2. If the total number of ink pens is 1,932, then find the number of each type of ink pen. So, first of all, I would read the question over once, then go back and break it down a step at a time. So this says a box contains red ink pens and blue ink pens. Okay, so there's two types of pens in this box. We're going to do a comparison model. So you should write down red pens, blue pens, one on top of the other with some space because we're going to do a comparison bar model, meaning draw a bar model for each thing. Now it says the ratio of the number of red ink to blue ink is 5:2. So that means the red ink needs 5 units. So you want to draw 5 equal sized boxes, and the 2 would be 2 equal sized boxes for the blue. So that is what a 5:2 ratio looks like when you're drawing a comparison model. Because ratios make everything into equal parts, then I have 5 parts to 2 parts and they're all the same size. So there's my comparison model for the 5:2 ratio. It says if the total number of pens is 1,932, so again, they're giving us the total. So you're going to want to go ahead and bracket all of these boxes as equal to 1,932. Then find the number of each type. So actually, I need to know both types. I need to know how many red pens are there and how many blue pens there are. Now, that is all the information that are in this particular problem. So now we're going to go to solve it. We have our model drawn. We can see that it's 5 parts to 2 parts. We can see that all the parts together are worth 1932. And then I have to find how many red and blue pens there are. So another good place to start is write your your sentence that'll answer the question with just some blanks. So since it's asking me how much of each type of pen there are, I should say there are blank red pens and there are blank blue pens. And I'll fill those in when I figure it out. Next, you want to write the ratio unit statement. So we kind of introduced this earlier, but now we're actually requiring you to do it because it's a very good strategy for solving this type of problem. So basically, you want to start off with the thing that is given. We are given that 1932 is equivalent to a certain number of units. So if we count those units up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, we see that that is worth 7 units. So that is that's called our given information. We know that 7 units, all 7 boxes combined, is equivalent to 1932. Next, you want to figure out, well, what's 1 unit worth? So we're trying to figure out how much is a single box worth. Since they're all the same amount, we can simply divide by 7, right? We're going from 7 boxes down to 1 box, so we're dividing by 7. So I'm going to do 1,932, and I'm going to divide that by 7. You're going to use a calculator for that. You're not going to have to do that by hand. And you're going to want to write all these steps down as you're going, just like I have it here. So 1932, when we divide that by 7, and crunch those numbers on a calculator, you get 276. That means each one of those boxes is worth 276. Now, I wrote them in those boxes. You do not have to write them in those boxes, but you do need to understand that when we write that statement, 1 unit equals 276, that's how much each of those boxes is worth. Remember, we're looking for how many types of each pen there are. So that's the last step. Find what you're looking for. So let's start with the red pens. Red pens is how many units? It's 5 units. If you count them up, there's 5 there. So I need to do times 5. I need to do 276 times 5 to figure out how much that's worth. I get 1,380 when I do 276 times 5 on a calculator. Okay, so there's 1,380 red pens. Now I could simply just subtract that from 1932 to get the blue pens, or since I already know that 276 is what one box is worth, all I got to do is 2 units, because there's 2 of them for the blue pens. So I'll just do 276 times 2. It's less writing, but to go from 1 to 2 is times 2, so I'm going to go 276 times 2. And 276 times 2 is 552. Again, I could check my work by adding those and making sure that they're equivalent to 1932. So that's roughly how we're going to solve these types of problems. We're going to draw comparison models using equal units, and then we're going to use unit statements to try to start with what we're given and get to what we're trying to find. All right, in example number 2, we have the number of coins collected by Xavier, Johann, and Zachary is in the ratio 2 to 5 to 8. So we actually have 3 people. And Johann collected 80 coins. Find the number of coins collected by the 3 boys altogether. So starting with that first information, since it says Xavier to Johann to Zachary, we have 3 people, so we're going to draw 3 comparison models, 3 models. We're going to have an X model for Xavier, a Y model for Johann, and a Z model for Zachary. So X, Y, Z. I don't need to write their full names because I'm just organizing the information. Now it's X to Y to Z in the ratio 2 to 5 to 8. So I need to do 2 units for Xavier. I need to do 5 units for Johann. These are all the same size. And then I need to do 8 units for Zachary. So he gets the 5 that Johann got plus another 3 more. Okay? They should roughly be the same size. You want to try to draw them so they're equal boxes. Okay? These are parts, just like in our Arnold Palmer. Now, the next piece of information is that Johann had 80. So you're going to want to bracket Johann's model. So he has these pieces right here and mark down that that's worth 80. And then it says find the number of coins collected by the 3 boys altogether. So I'm actually looking for the total in this one. In the last one, I was given the total and I had to find the parts. But now I'm given actually one of the parts and I have to figure out what the total is. That's all the information in our model. That's what we're looking for. So now we're going to start writing our unit statements. So again, you want to start with your answer sentence. It's asking us find the total, so I wrote the boys collected blank coins altogether. That way I can remember what my target is, what I'm actually trying to find. The given is what you want to start with when you're writing your unit statements. The given is that 80. The 80 is equivalent to how many units in this picture? If you count the boxes for Johann, he has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 boxes. So that means he has 5 units. The 80 is worth 5 units. And again, once you have that written, that's our given, 5 units is worth 80, you want to figure out, well, what is 1 unit worth? So we can get down to 1 unit by dividing 80 by 5. We're dividing to get to 5 to 1, we're dividing by 5, so we want to divide 80 by 5 also. And 80 divided by 5, you're going to do that on a calculator, and you get 16. So these are the ratio units you should be writing down. You should have 5 units equals 80, and then underneath that you want to have 1 unit is worth 16. So now I know that the boxes are all worth 16, not just in Johann's model, but in everyone's model, because it's a ratio and I'm dealing with equal parts, 2 parts to 5 parts to 8 parts, then all of those parts are worth the same amount. In this case, they're all worth 16. So now I can go and find what I'm actually looking for. Right? That's the final step. Find what you're looking for. I'm looking for the total. Now, I could find Xavier by doing 16 times 2 and getting 32. And I could find Zachary by doing 16 times 8 and whatever that is, and then adding them all together. Or, since I'm looking for the total, I can simply just count up how many total boxes are here, how many units are here. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. There's 15 units here. 2 plus 5 plus 8 also gets me to 15. That's in our ratio. So with 15 units, that's what I need to figure out. And I can simply, since I'm going from 1 unit to 15, I know each one's worth 16. I'm just going to multiply by 15. So 16 per unit times 15 units total gives me my answer of 240. So that would be how many the boys collected all together. Again, I could have found that by finding Xavier's amount by 16 times 2, finding Zachary's amount by 16 times 8, and then adding them all together with Johan. But that's a lot of steps. This is a faster way to do it. Since I need the total, I know how many units are there. I can just multiply how much one unit is worth times how many units are there. And the last example we'll go over together is about Megan. Megan is preparing fruit punch using a recipe that calls for apple juice and orange juice in the ratio 4:3. It says if she's using 2 quarts of apple juice to make the fruit punch, then find the volume of orange juice she uses. So that's the question. Let's start over. First read it, then start over. So she's preparing fruit punch. She's using apple juice and orange juice in the ratio 4:3. So we need, it's apple juice to orange. So I'm going to do apple juice, orange, and it's 4:2. So I'm going to do 4 units to 3 units, and I'm going to do 3 units. Okay? Now, the next piece of information it gives me is that Megan is, well, she's the only person. She's using 2 quarts of apple juice. So I'm going to label the apple juice as 2 quarts because that's what it says. It says she's using 2 quarts of apple to make the fruit punch. Then find the volume of orange juice that she uses. So how much OJ is she going to use if she's using 2 quarts of apple juice and it's in this ratio? So that's everything. That's what the problem has. That's the information the problem has. And that is what I'm looking for, how much OJ there is. So go back to your unit statements. Well, actually, first, write your answer sentence. It's asking for OJ. So I wrote the volume of OJ Megan uses is blank quarts. It's in the same unit as the other one, quarts. So I'll just leave it in that. Now I'll go to my unit statements, and I will always start with my given. The given is that 2 quarts. The 2 quarts they gave me is equivalent to how many boxes? Well, it's 4. If you count them up, there's 4 boxes that are equivalent to that 2 quarts of apple juice. So that's the first step of your ratio statements. What are you told? I'm told that 4 units is worth 2 quarts. Next, find what 1 is worth. So I'm going down to 1 unit by dividing into 4 parts. So I'm going to divide 2 by 4. Now, you might think that 2 divided by 4 is 2, but that actually doesn't make sense because if I put 2, 2, 2, 2 in there, that's worth more than 2. 2 divided by 4, you have to do it in that order. Order matters when you're dividing. 2 divided by 4 is actually a half, or 0.5 if you're doing it on a calculator, which means that these boxes are each worth 0.5. Now it says find what you are looking for now. Now that I know that each box is worth a half, I can simply find 3 units since the OJ is worth 3 units. So I'm going to be doing just times 3. I'll do 0.5 times 3 because each one's worth 0.5, and I get 1.5. So that is the amount of quarts that Megan uses for OJ, and that makes sense since the apple juice was 2 quarts, and this is slightly less than that. It's actually 3/4 of that amount, which turned out to be 1.5 quarts. All right, that's it. Good luck.